Do you guys ever wonder why is it that banana flavored things don't taste like actual bananas? Well, let me walk you through the history of the banana really quick. So it would probably surprise a lot of you to know that the banana we have today isn't always the one that we've consumed throughout history. And even today, there's a bunch of different variations of bananas like this one or this one here. And even as recent as about 80-ish to 90-ish years ago, the banana consumed in daily life was a lot more different than what we have today because it was a lot bigger and it was also a lot sweeter. And that's what actually gives artificial banana flavoring. That was known as the Gros Michel banana, and what we have today is called the Cavendish. But why the sudden switch bananas in the first place? Well, two words for you. Panama disease. So the Panama disease was highly infectious in the Gros Michel banana, and it made it go almost completely extinct. However, before any banana epidemics happened, scientists actually rebred it into a way where it was more resistant against Panama disease and have thus given us the Cavendish today. This story is probably one of just the earliest examples of genetic engineering, and it really does show some of the ways that genetic engineers can change daily life and the power that does come from their work. Another really important aspect about genetic engineers is their use in the medical field and with gene therapy. Now, genetic therapists are super fascinating to analyze because their work involves curing and treating symptoms and diseases that do come from genetic disorders. One example that we could use that is probably a lot more easier to imagine and talk about is color blindness. Now, color blindness is something that's a lot more prevalent in men than it is with women because the trait that does code for color blindness is in the X chromosome. Men only have one X chromosome, unlike women who have two. So with women, if there's a negative trait that is expressed on one X chromosome, the other one can cancel it out. However, with men, because they have an X chromosome and a Y chromosome, the Y chromosome cannot cancel out any negative traits of the X one, so they are going to express those negative traits like color blindness. However, this does not have to happen. Genetic engineers can actually go in and change the DNA of the infected X chromosome to one where it suppresses color blindness instead of expressing it. What this does allow is then it allows for men the power to see and experience the world in all of its full and true beauty in all of its colors. However, in spite of all the great achievements that genetic engineers have achieved, they still do face a lot of criticisms. One example of the criticisms that they face is with GMOs, or with genetically modified organisms as we may know it. Now, just the name alone brings a lot of fear to many people, and it's easy to understand why. People want to know what it is that they're exactly eating. However, there's a lot of misconception that is revolving around genetically modified organisms. One of them is where scientists inject foods with scary chemicals, but this is never or almost never the case. GMOs aren't something that we should be afraid of, and they've actually done a lot more good than they have done bad. Let's use the tomato as an example. The tomato used to have a really short shelf life, but after genetic engineers tinkered with their DNA just a little bit, they made it last a lot longer, and they also made it taste a lot better too. And this is why the need for genetic engineers is so important. They're constantly working to make our lives better, and in addition to bettering food, they can also change the way many things are designed and how they function too. And again, they can cure and treat all of these genetic diseases. In spite of the criticisms that genetic engineers must face, they must continue to work forward, and they must continue to change the scientific communities for the better. Let me present you with one more scenario. Let's go back to the banana really quick. Right now, it's actually in danger, as the issue with the Cavendish is that almost all of them are genetically identical with each other. So what this does mean is that if a disease like the Panama disease with the Gros Michel came around and infected one Cavendish, it can completely wipe out the entire population of it. And what this means is that the banana we know today could be completely extinct. However, this does not have to be the case, and it's why we need genetic engineers. They have the amazing power to make the banana into a much stronger organism and make it stronger against the diseases that can potentially destroy them. And while it's probably really silly to talk about genetic engineers in the context of a banana, I ask of you guys to open up your eyes to the possibilities and the directions that genetic engineers can go in with their work. We must continue to support this community, as right now, if they continue to prosper, our lives can be a much better place. And even in spite of the criticisms that they face, we must continue to back them up in their work. Thank you.